Welcome back to another episode of Trust the Process. I am your host, Martin Bugai, and today I am joined by one of our incredible clients, Chris Hembrough, the Chief Operating Officer at Peerless Cleaning and Restoration Services over in Springfield, Illinois. Chris and I first connected back on June 1st, this year, 2025, when he came across one of our posts on LinkedIn. Funny enough, we both had cancellations that day, and we jumped on a spontaneous call, and as you'll hear, that moment completely changed the trajectory of his life. At the time, Chris had just turned 62, was holding his 10-month-old granddaughter Charlotte, and had this powerful realization. He said, I want to be here for her high school graduation, and to do that, I need to start taking my health seriously. Fast forward just 4 months later, and the transformation he's experienced has been absolutely phenomenal. He's dropped nearly 30 pounds of body fat, completely reshaped his lifestyle, improved his energy, sleep and focus, and even reduced his blood pressure medication by half. But more than that, what stands out is how he's done it all while leading a team of nearly 50 people, managing a multi-location company and still showing up as a husband, father and proud grandpa. In this episode, you'll hear how Chris turned that one powerful why into daily habits, what's it really like being coached through our program, and how the ripple effects have transformed every part of his life, from his health to his leadership and mindset. So, whether you're a busy executive, a business owner, or high-performing professional who knows it's time to take your own health seriously, this one is going to be for you. Let's dive in.
I said what words would describe your, 3 words to describe your week or however it was worded. And I said, positive, thankful, and forward looking. Like, I feel like I'm in such I've always been a fairly positive person. I think most people would say that about me, but I think, it has to be a reflection of the program. I feel like I'm maybe more so that way than I've ever been. I don't know if I've struggled even, and I don't usually struggle to find the right words to say, but it has, I'm just in an unbelievably good place.
That's incredible.
It is hard for me to put words on it. So
that's incredible.
And grateful for it. So
excellent. Well, if it's hard to find word for it, this is going to be hard. However,
well, I'll find those words.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you, and I could not be more happy and grateful that you have found this process so incredible so far. So
yeah, one of the cool things to me, I said again on my, I think I've said this a couple times here recently on the Friday check-in, that it's become such a part of just my life, my daily life and routine, that I don't really even think about it now. It just happens. Yeah. Now that takes intentionality and consistency and discipline and all those kinds of things. We all know that, but it's not a struggle. It really was never a struggle to do it. It's just, you have to make some changes and get into some new routines. I kind of had some partial routines maybe in place before, so maybe that made it a little easier for me. But it's really cool to be in a place where it's not even a if I'm going to do it. It's a matter of, okay, when is it going to get done? When does it find its place on my calendar? And anyway, it's just part of my life.
Amazing. Well, yeah. Chris, look, let's get to the very beginning, because you and I, we started talking, the first conversation we had was, actually, I checked it today. It was back in June 1st. I was on holiday in Spain. And that day, I remember I had few strategy calls scheduled in, and one of them canceled. And then I went on LinkedIn and I saw your message. You messaged me through my business page, and we got to chatting and said, I think you asked me whether I'm free. I said, listen, I've just had a cancellation. You said, I had a cancellation as well. And we were like, okay, let's jump on. And that's basically how it all started, right? Back in June this year.
Yeah, I didn't look at the calendar, but I know it was the first week of June, because I kind of had a series of, I don't know what I would say, moments that kept bringing this to the surface for me, or the need for some action on my part. And yeah, I remember that like it was yesterday. Now that you say
Yeah.
that, because I do. I remember jumping on LinkedIn and saying, "Man, I had an appointment canceled. There's no time like the present." I keep saying to myself, "I need to talk to this gentleman. I'm just going to send him a note. What are the
I love it.
chances?" And I don't believe those moments, by the way, are coincidental. I that for your schedule to open and mine to open and it to
I
work
know.
was, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty special. So yeah, I'm in a great place, and so happy that you are here and that day basically we got to chat. So Chris, if we were to take our listeners all the way back to the beginning, and first of all, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling people what is it that you do? Because we deal obviously with executives. LinkedIn is our main platform. So if you just briefly wouldn't mind explaining what you do.
Yeah, sure, sure. And by the way, I'm honored that you would ask me to do this.
My pleasure.
It's
Thank you.
it's pretty meaningful. Um, Yeah, so my name's Chris Hembrough. Live in Central Illinois, Springfield, Illinois, which is the capital of the state. Um, we are very small town USA. Some folks will understand what I mean by that. Not a big metro area. Uh, right in the middle of a lot of farm ground out here in Central Illinois. I'm the chief operating officer for Peerless Cleaning and Restoration Services. We do a lot of cleaning services, residential and commercial, carpet cleaning, hard surface cleaning, ventilation system cleaning. But really, our bread and butter is disaster services. We deal with a lot of water restoration work, fire and smoke restoration. Somebody has a fire in their home or their place of business. The whole cleaning process of that facility if it's not a total loss. And then we do a lot of mold remediation, again, both in residential, in folks' homes, as well as in commercial facilities. I would say our business is one. We're a we're not a large company, independently owned, by a gentleman who happens to be my best friend. We've been best friends for about 25 years, and I came on board with him um, about 4 years ago to serve in the role that I do. So I really oversee the overall operations of our business. We've got a couple of locations. We serve all of Central Illinois. Sometimes we'll travel further than 60 to 90 miles to do larger jobs when if and when it's necessary. We have about just under 50 employees, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of the size of company that we are. So
Awesome. Needless to say,
company's
really,
been in
really
existence
busy.
for 80 years. This Our owner, Brad Wyke, is the third owner of the company. His parents owned it before him, and then the gentleman who started the business back in 1945 prior to them. So,
Long history. Excellent.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
sure.
Chris, so what was life like before the program, and what was the reason that you decided to join?
Yeah, so well, life was good. I mean, really, I am very fortunate and blessed in so many ways. But before our call that first week of June, I had what I would call kind of a series of these moments. One of them was my birthday in mid-May. I turned 62, and we happened to be at our oldest daughter's house with her and her husband, and uh, they had their first child, which was our first grandchild. And I was holding Charlotte, who was 10 months old at the time. And um, I remember thinking, wow, this is amazing. Everybody always told me what it would be like, to be a grandpa. And I thought, this is unbelievable. And I am, and I, at that moment, I thought, and I'm fortunate enough to be here. I had cancer about 5 years ago. And I thought, wow, what a moment. And then the next thing I thought was, I want to do this for a long time. And I thought, if I'm going to be here for her high school graduation, that means she's going to be 18 years old, which means I'm going to be 80. So I said, I better get serious about, and I took pretty good care of myself. I always thought I played football in college many years ago. I've always been, I know my way around the gym. So I was, even when we spoke, I was going to the gym 4, 5, 6 days a week. I remember one of the things you told me on our call was that more is not always better.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
think I needed better structure to my workouts, more consistency. Anyway, so that moment happened that day. And around that same time, I started seeing your program on LinkedIn. It kept seemed like it was always in my feed, and I would stop and I'd read it and I'd think, well, maybe I should do that. Couple roll the clock forward. A couple weeks later, I had my annual physical, which wasn't bad. Um, but my weight was a little more than I really wanted it to be. I've kind of fluctuated, like I said, I played college football, so I've always been a bigger guy. And I was probably, I think at the time of my physical in mid to late May, I was like 238, closer, and I would always bounce around that 233 to 240 number. And
Mhm.
most people would say, boy, you do a great job. What do you do to take care of yourself? You look really good. Well, I didn't look really good to myself. When I saw myself without a shirt on, I knew I didn't, I knew there needed to be some work done. Um, Around that same time, my wife and I told her about that moment with our granddaughter and what I was thinking. And so we had what I would say was kind of a pivotal or a significant conversation about kind of the state of affairs, if you will. What do we need to do to take great care of ourselves for our kids and our grandkids? We want to be able to do that as long as possible, to be available, to be supportive, to to enjoy those things and be there for them. And so we had that kind of significant conversation throughout all of these couple 3 weeks. Um, your program continued to show up from time to time on my LinkedIn feed, and I was like, man, I need to think about this. And then finally that day happened in June. And I was like, okay, it's time to move forward. I'm not a guy who ponders things very long. I'm usually very action oriented, and so I was like, I'm just going to see if we can have a conversation. I need to learn a little bit more about this, and then I'll make a decision. And I think I told you that day on the call. You asked me what it would take for me to do it, and I said, I think if I remember right, I said, give me 48 hours and you'll have a
Yeah.
decision from me. And I think I emailed you back probably within 24 hours, knowing me, and said, I'm in. I got this and this and this to take care of. And I want to start my program around the 20th of June. And we started on June 22nd. This yesterday, and I say yesterday because I finished my last workout for the week yesterday. I usually either finish on Thursday or Friday, depending upon my schedule. So yesterday I completed my 18th week. So right at 4 months in the program.
Incredible. Incredible.
Sorry if I said too much. That was a lot.
No, that's you've laid a great foundation. Just the background for people to really understand your situation. And I there's a couple of things. One, I love the fact when we first spoke, straight away, I knew that you'd be phenomenal candidate. You just perfect for the program. You're a man of your word. You knew exactly what you wanted. You had a strong why, like you've just explained and gave background with your granddaughter. The why is very strong. You wanted to look after yourself. These are the big things. So you perfectly matched what I always look for when I invite candidates to this program. So we kind of aligned on many things there. And then you said, listen, give me 48 hours. And I knew that you would stick to your word. And like you said, it was probably 24 hours later. You're
Yeah,
like,
I'm
I'm in.
guessing so.
And these are the three things. I want to start officially on that date. If we can get the onboarding done by that date, and that essentially happened. So yeah, no, that's great. So when you started, you were just under 240, I believe, 239.
Yeah, I think by the time I started, so I started doing a little bit of maybe not in the best ways, but I will say dieting, and I'm not a diet guy, which is what I love about your program too. I hope we'll touch on that. That this is not a diet plan.
Mm,
But I started doing some things. I started watching more closely what I was eating. I mean, I'm the size of a guy that my weight could fluctuate 5 to 7 pounds daily based on what I was eating and drinking. I love red wine, by the way. And as I really started watching in the middle part of May, I was consuming a lot of calories in red wine at night. Like I was drinking it like it was water. I mean, I'm just being as transparent as I
I
can
love
be.
it.
I mean, I just wasn't. Man, I started doing the math and I was like, well, no wonder I look like I look right now around the midsection. So, um, and that was not so I immediately just stopped that. Or I say stopped. I immediately made a significant change in that. I said, okay, well, I enjoy a glass of red wine, but I don't need to have three. So or four on a weekend night. And so I immediately said, I'll allow myself to have a 5 or 6 ounce glass of red wine every night if I want to. And and I just started paying closer attention. So I probably lost 6 to 8 pounds from the time we first spoke to the time we started the program. I think I was right around 235, 238. And then by the time we spoke and we started, I think my official start date, I weighed 229. So I had peeled off some weight before that. Probably not in the best fashion, but I had. So
Yeah.
yeah. I remember saying to you, I think I just probably, you said, what are your goals? And I said, I'd like to, drop 10 or 15 pounds. And I loved it because you kind of challenged me and said, well, why 10 or 15 pounds? What if I said we can get you down below 200? And I think I said, well, because I haven't weighed less than 200 pounds since I was a junior in high school. uh, and I always, probably as an ex-athlete who played football, prided myself on being a big guy
Yeah.
in some ways, I suspect. Never thought about it until you asked me that question, to be quite honest with you. And, I'd always played in that 240-ish range, but I was
Mm.
in way better condition, right? I carried that weight a lot better. So, but that's where I was, somewhere right, when we first spoke, mid 230s.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're in a way different place now. So,
We are indeed, and I let you tell the audience what is it that you weigh right now. So, mind you, 18 weeks in the program, and we'll touch on the history of the injuries and all of that in a second. But what's the lowest weight that you've gone in that period of time with us?
yeah, this week, I did my weigh in this morning. I was 205.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So
And
substantial
now
amount of weight
I'm like, well, now we're getting sub 200.
for
Uh,
sure.
and yeah, so yeah, yeah,
And I know.
it's pretty it's yes. And it's funny, my coach Chris on your team, who's phenomenal, by the way,
Thank you very much.
phenomenal. Um, he's had to work with me because whenever my weight fluctuates back up a little bit, it's really I take that serious because it's a data point for me.
Hmm.
And I'm kind of a numbers junkie. And so I see that. And it's like while I'm checking all the boxes and doing all the right things, it can be frustrating
Yeah.
for at least for a personality like me to say, oh, wait a minute, I was 205 yesterday. How in the heck? And I did all the right things all week. And now I'm
Mm.
207. That doesn't make sense to the way my brain works. That makes no sense. And Chris has had to coach me through that and say, look, there are tons of factors. Whether you're sleeping well, how well has your digestion been this week? What's your stress level? Like all those things. And I've finally gotten to the point now where I just get on the scale every day. I put it in the app and I can't say I don't think about it at all, but I pay far less attention to that. But
Yeah.
for me, that number means progress. And so I think that's why it's so important for me.
Absolutely. This is a great point that you touched on because I don't think you're the only guy that actually obsesses, or well, not anymore, but a lot of guys really obsess about the number because this is really the sort of truest immediate reflection of the progress. As
Yes.
you say, you jump on a scale and you know, okay, am I making progress or am I not? And if I'm not making progress, what's not working? What have I done? So emotions immediately sort of jump in and people start making emotional decisions, drastic decisions, a lot of the time. So that's why that coaching process is so important, to kind of constantly keep you accountable, having those conversations on regular basis and really explaining the reasons why. It takes time because emotions will most often override the logical brain because, okay, the number says this, I should be here. What is going on? I'm doing something wrong. So,
Yeah, and I've that's always, and uh, weight was always kind of a an important number for me in my history, because there were certain times like, hey, we need to get you to, and more often than not, it was to put on more weight, to
yeah,
get bigger, to get stronger, to, we need to get you to 235. We need to get you to, whatever. And so that number, there's some history there for me. And so going up meant progress at one point in my life,
yeah,
and now coming down, like if I'm in on something, I'm 110% in. I'm all
yeah,
in. When I say yes, I'm in. And so to me, that number was is a gauge that but I probably still obsess a little bit over it, but it's Chris has helped me with that. And you used a really important word earlier to me. I'm a why person. If I understand the why behind something, and all of a sudden I can kind of, the light goes on. And when Chris started to articulate for me some things I'd never thought about before of why, especially somebody my size, your weight can fluctuate a couple of pounds from day to day, even though you're doing all the right things. I was like, okay, well, that makes some sense. Never thought about it in those terms. So anyway, good
again,
stuff.
fantastic point because I think that's so important. I always say that y- people have to understand the reason and the rationale behind certain decisions from our perspective as coaches when it comes to changing your programming or tweaking certain things from a nutritional perspective or whatever it may be, lifestyle. If you understand, the likelihood of you actually sticking with it and following is far greater than just following. It's like I said, it's not a diet because diet you just follow and you follow it until you don't want to follow it anymore. Whereas this is all about making it a lifestyle change so it's sustainable and it's for it stays with you forever. If you really understand and nail the habits that actually work with you and your lifestyle and your circumstances, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found that to be true after, 4 months of this. It really is my lifestyle.
Yeah,
And it hasn't really been drastic changes. And I mean, we all know people, right? And honestly, I've probably done it once in my life where somebody goes on a diet of some sort and they drop 10 or 15 or 50 pounds.
hmm,
But 6 months later, they're back to where they were before, or more,
yeah,
because I think part of that is too, people deprive themselves of so many things. I think it's important for us to enjoy the things we enjoy, whatever those are, within
absolutely.
certain guardrails and parameters. And I think when people, deprive themselves of something for a long period of time, then it's so easy when they're done with the
Hmm.
diet to just dive back in 100% on the things that they deprived themselves of. And it takes us right back to where we were.
Totally. Hey, quick break. If you've been putting your health on the back burner while building your business, leading your team, or just navigating life at full tilt, it's time to change that. Head over to martinbugai.com and see how we can help men like you build strong, lean, energized bodies without giving up their careers, families, or sanity. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Martin Bugai, MartinBujaj, and drop me a message. Or find me on Instagram at Martin Bugai Fitness and DM me there. And if you're serious about transforming your body and your health, go straight to martinbugai.com/transform6. And that's the starting line for men who want real change. Let's get back to it. Totally. So, Chris, how's everything been from, well, let's talk about that. How has your life really changed, if at all, with regards to your nutrition, your daily habits, and the things? How are you leading life now versus how you were leading it up to that point where we started? Have things changed? And if so, how?
Yeah, well, um, yeah, I think, it would be interesting to hear what my wife had to say about this. I think I know what she would say. I think I, I think I said earlier I've always kind of, because of my history, I've been comfortable in a gym, so that wasn't a hard thing for me to change. I was going when we spoke 4, 5, 6 times a week, but there's the key: 4, 5, or 6. I'm a kind of a night owl. I do wake up early, but I'm in the office or on a job site with some of our folks by 7 a.m. every day. So I just the workout early in the morning prior to work is just never fit for me. I've tried to make it work before and it just hasn't. But I'm a night owl. I find that it helps me kind of decompress in the evening. It's something my wife and I have done together for years, is go to the gym together. So that's certainly beneficial and helpful
Hmm.
to have a partner in what you're doing. And but it was hit and miss for me. I'd have a full day, a 10, 12-hour day, be exhausted, and I would say, I'm going to skip it tonight. Well, there's no skipping anymore because it's on my calendar and I live by my calendar. My
Mm.
calendar dictates what everything I do is on my calendar, always has been. But my workouts were never on my calendar. They were just something I did. And what I realized was I only did it when I felt like doing it, or I only did it when I wasn't exhausted from the day. And oftentimes I was exhausted from the day because I didn't get good rest the night before. So I would say that's a huge change. Now it just happens.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question. I 5 days a week, I do what you guys have outlined for me to do, which has also been very beneficial because I don't have to think about what it is I'm going to do in my workouts. It's right there.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll suggest to Chris, "Hey, I really enjoy doing shoulder shrugs. Can we add that to my workout somewhere if it's going to be beneficial?" Um, but so the consistency, the realization that you don't have to be perfect, but you just have to be consistent. Just show up. My
Yeah.
dad used to always say to me, I grew up in a home with, I had 3 brothers, and he used to always say, boys, when you don't feel like doing it is when you need to do it the most. And I have tried to live my life that way, but at times I haven't. And so I've early on in this, I heard his voice in my head a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just there's no question about it now. It just happens, and then a result, and then I think a huge change for me. I hardly ever ate breakfast before we started this. Now it is the main meal of my day. Um, I mean, I would grab a protein drink on my way out the door every morning with a cup of coffee, and that would be breakfast. Maybe a banana, but
Mm.
rarely would I eat breakfast during the week. And then on weekends, I would splurge on breakfast. I would eat way too much for breakfast, all the stuff I like. So that's for me, that's a huge day, and I think it kickstarts my day. And then I'm not a fancy eater or a picky eater. So the nutrition side of things hasn't been really that difficult for me. It was just getting it dialed in. And I'm not doing it perfectly.
Hmm.
I need to do a better job on meal planning and meal prep some weeks. Some weeks we do it really well. Other weeks I don't do it so well. And then I
Hmm.
find myself having to grab that protein shake here or there in order to meet my protein numbers. That's also something that's significant for me. I've never tracked calories or macros, never tracked, my protein intake, my carbs and my fat grams. And now I almost know that it's almost second nature now to do that.
Excellent. So,
And the routine of that's been great. I'm a routine person, so that's been beneficial.
yeah, I love
My
everything you said.
rest, by the way, I am sleeping. Like I didn't sleep well before. I mean, I would sleep 5 to 6 hours a night, but I would wake up 3 or 4 times a night. I go to bed. My wife is like, "You don't even move now." I mean, I go to sleep and I sleep. I still don't sleep a lot. It's usually 6 hours or so, but I am way more rested and refreshed,
Yeah.
and therefore my energy level is probably higher than it's been in many, many, many years, probably in 30 or 40 years. Um, and most people would say I had a lot of energy prior to doing the program. So there's probably some people around me who are like, okay, can you just calm down? So
Excellent. So let's touch on the nutrition. So how have you found tracking? Because I suppose for people listening, people who potentially would be considering maybe joining a program like this, I suppose the biggest, the stickiest part for a lot of guys is always the tracking side, the nutrition tracking.
Yeah.
How did you find
Yeah.
that?
So, yeah, I would say your app, and I was concerned about that. One, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
For me, that was probably the bigger concern, that and cardio.
Hmm.
uh, and especially given some of my uh, it, injuries, if you past injuries, and
Yep.
I don't like cardio.
Yep.
So, but the tracking of food, I thought, oh, this is going to be a real pain in the you know what. But I
Hmm.
was like, I got to do it. I signed up, and so I'm in. But your app makes it so simple. It's incredible. I mean, it is the easiest thing. um, there's nothing to it. The fact that you can find almost anything that you eat is already preloaded in there. When I start to type in something, like the first day I did it, I thought, okay, here we go. And I started to put something in there. I was like, oh, it's already in here. Or the scanner that's a part of it. I can scan the label on food and it, boom, it tells me what it is. And then the bigger piece is, making sure you're a bigger piece of that for me was making sure I was eating the right amount. Okay, am I really doing 4 ounces or 5 ounces of this, chicken or
Hmm.
this turkey or what have you? But it's been really easy for me because of the tools that you guys provide. And by the way, your app is the way it's designed, it's so user friendly and easy to use. And I have to tell you, it is a huge accountability tool.
Yeah.
Like for me, I know when I put something in that app, somebody on the other side of the world is looking at it. And that's enough for me to do what I have to do. If
Yeah.
I know somebody's looking at it, and again, I think some of that goes all the way back to my athletic days and being, familiar with and used to having a coach in my
Hmm.
experience that was going to make me accountable for what I say I'm going to do. So the tracking felt overwhelming, but within the first week, I was like, well, this is simple. We
Yeah.
have a great tool to use for it. So I hopefully that covers what you
Oh,
were looking for.
fantastic. Fantastic.
Um,
Thank you.
and I play around with it. Some days I'll do it as I eat. Other days I won't put anything in it until I sit down in the evening, and I'll just go back through my entire day and put everything in at once. So
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes a big difference because now I know
Yes.
what I'm eating, so I know I'm really close on my protein and so on and so forth without having to watch it from meal to meal.
Absolutely. And it gives you
So
that flexibility that you can either preload things the night before or the day before or for the whole week, however,
yeah,
or you can do it on the go as and when, and you can do it at the end of the day. So it doesn't
yeah.
really matter, but yeah, it gives you that flexibility. Great. Look, I want to touch on that. So I will ask you about your injuries because there is a bigger picture here. You came to the program with certain things that were going on, knees, etc., etc. How? Because the reason you actually, and I remember we had this conversation before. I said to you that you are probably one of very few guys who, when you told me that you were a former athlete, I then learned that you actually were an athlete. You played professional football for many years. So in your case, this was truly the truth because I speak to a lot of guys who use this term sort of very loosely. They call themselves athletes, but what they mean is they did a little bit of running or played here and there when they were in college, etc. Whereas you actually had a proper football career, right?
Well, yeah, I did. I didn't play just. I didn't play professionally, but I played through college. I had a football scholarship for college. Played through college. Played on a national championship team
Yep.
in back in the early '80s. I'm dating myself, so uh, but yeah, I mean, worked out for a few professional teams. Didn't make it. I wasn't quite that good. So actually, I probably wasn't very good at all. I just worked hard at what I did and found my niche. As a contributor to the teams I was a part of. But yeah, it was a significant part of my life. I grew up in a
Yep.
home where sports were a big part. All I had three brothers. I told you all four of us played collegiate football,
Yeah.
and it just kind of was part of our culture and our environment. So yeah,
And
and yes, as a result of that, I had some challenges physically. So
so could you do you mind listing the things that that you were obviously, because that was partly the concern for you as well, joining program like this, right?
yeah, I remember, on the onboarding process, you guys sent me a video, and I think there were maybe 8 or 10 different exercises you wanted us to film. I say us, my wife filmed it, while I did them. And I knew when I saw what they were that there were some of them that could be a challenge. Uh, I have, because I have two artificial, both knees have been replaced.
Hmm.
Uh, they just got beat up over the years. And I think also probably a contributing factor was a lot of really heavy weightlifting many, many years ago.
Hmm.
But anyway, so both of my knees have been replaced, and I didn't know how. That's been a challenge for like the most I could do. Like I can't. Well, if I have to run, I can, but they don't want you to run with them. So the only thing I would try to do for cardio was walk hard on a treadmill, and I just never. I don't like it. I mean, I just don't like it. And they don't hurt. I can just tell they're not mine, if that makes any sense. I'm guessing a lot of people with artificial knees would say the same thing. Um, and so, that was a concern. What would I do for cardio? Uh, and maybe I used it as an excuse for many years. Don't know. I had my knees replaced when I was 55, I guess. Yeah, 55. So 7, 8 years ago. And then I've had 4 back surgeries. One of them was a fusion of like L3 and 4, L4 and 5, right? I can't remember now. It's been 5. I had that done 5 years ago. Um, and then I've had my shoulder, my left shoulder. I've had my rotator cuff reconstructed 3 times, and the last time it just didn't work. So 2 of the 4 tendons are off the bone, and they said the only thing you can do now is we can limp you along with some injections every 6 months or so, and then eventually you need a shoulder replacement, what they call a reverse shoulder replacement. And I was like, well, I want to put that off as long as I can, and I can still exercise and work out. There's just certain things that I can't do. I can't do a lot of things. I mean, I can get my arm above my head, but there's not a lot. I can't lift a lot over, but I can. But you guys, the cool thing is, you guys, when I shared all that, you guys were like, well, we can work around all that. We can create, we know the body and we know what we're doing. And it's just been phenomenal. I mean, I'm doing lifting and doing things with my legs I never thought I'd be able to do again.
Mm.
Um, and, uh, and upper body wise, same thing. And without really any setbacks, none whatsoever. I haven't missed a workout in 18 weeks. Not one day.
Incredible.
And, feel better than I did before I started. That's for sure.
Amazing. I'm really glad to hear that, because again, there is probably a lot of guys out there who, and mind you, you came with a lot of baggage. I have to say, everything that you've listed, it's some serious stuff that we had to work around. But again, like you said, we found a way, and you haven't missed a workout in 18 weeks. You feel great. You're constantly progressing. You're getting stronger. So that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and you guys helped me. I was like, I don't know what we want to do with, I remember Chris saying that he really didn't think it was a great idea for me to do the walking on the
Mhm.
treadmill, and especially on the incline. And he's right, because that did, whenever I would try that prior to the program, it just didn't feel great.
Yep.
I'd get a lot of inflammation from it. And anyway, so he said, let's try the elliptical, which is something I had tried many years ago, and to be honest with you, didn't love it. And when
Mhm.
I saw the very first, my first workout, that I had to do 30 minutes on the elliptical, I was like, yeah, this is not going to be good. And it wasn't great, but I did it because I said I would. And I have learned to embrace the elliptical. I don't know that I will ever say I like it. I know I will never say I love it, but I know it is necessary, and it has. And I mean, what it's done for me cardiovascular wise
Mm.
and health wise is, I mean, what's happened with my heart rate and blood pressure is just unbelievable. I mean, I
Yeah.
suspect really soon I'll be. So I took some blood pressure medication when I started
Yep.
on the high side. Um, about a month ago, my blood pressure, because we track that, as you well know,
Yes.
every day, was down to where it was too low. Like my blood pressure every time I would check, each daily check would be like 100/50
Hmm.
or 98/48 or 102/52. And so we've now been able to reduce my blood pressure medication, cut it in half. And it's still like last night, I think I was like 108/54, maybe something like that, 53, something in that area.
Hmm.
And then my resting heart rate has gone from like 70 to 52,
Yeah. Beautiful.
which is incredible. I never imagined anything like that could happen.
Absolutely incredible. So, is there any chance that you will ever, do you think, get off your meds?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the plan. So, I
Amazing.
mean, at this point, why not, right?
Yeah,
I
100%.
mean, as long as I can do that, because I know the reality is, every medication might treat one thing, but there's side effects on the other side of it, and I would prefer not to be. So, I mean, that's my hope.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that I did my annual physical right before we started the program, and I'm scheduled to go back to do some blood work and do a 6 month check. Um, and I suspect they're going to be like, "Wow, what
Who are
happened to
you?
you?" So I hope at that 6 month mark they'll say, "Yeah, we can, we'll keep following this, but let's stop taking it at all
That is
and
phenomenal.
make sure it stays in a good spot." So yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. I'm so pleased that that's happening and tracking in the right direction. So that's really great job. So as a result, obviously cardiovascularly, everything improved. Body composition wise, everything has improved and it's constantly improving. Hey, quick break. If you've been putting your health on the back burner while building your business, leading your team, or just navigating life at full tilt, it's time to change that. Head over to martinbugai.com and see how we can help men like you build strong, lean, energized bodies without giving up their careers, families, or sanity. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Martin Bugai, MartinBugaj, and drop me a message. Or find me on Instagram at Martin Bugai Fitness and DM me there. And if you're serious about transforming your body and your health, go straight to martinbugai.com/transform6. And that's the starting line for men who want real change. Let's get back to it. How have the benefits, if at all, transfer to other areas of your life? And I'm really talking about work and business because, again, COO, very busy, large company, a lot of responsibilities day to day, etc. How are you managing everything? And have you noticed any sort of cognitive change, difference, energy in running day to day operations?
Yeah, I for sure. I would say, my energy level, while it was at I think a really good place before this, it's at a
Mhm.
much better place. I, my rest is better. Therefore, my focus is definitely better. My ability to focus on things is, again, I never thought it was bad or challenged before, but it's significantly better. Um, I would say that my ability to manage stress is better as
Mhm.
well. Or things, maybe a better way to put that is that stressful situations that created significant levels of stress before don't are not creating those levels of stress now like they did previously.
Yeah.
Um, and the only thing I can attribute that to is just the the program and that's just the holistic approach of it, if that
Yes.
makes sense. So
Oh,
I think
100%.
yeah, that I mean I have a motor that just goes pretty good most of the time, and it probably goes better now than it has in a lot of years. And that's a challenge for me sometimes to turn things off too. I have difficulty um, just slowing down and kind of
Yeah.
relaxing. So
As many of our clients do,
yeah,
you guys operate on such high level day to day. It's almost, ingrained in you. It's your second nature. So it's very important to understand that, like I said before, more is not better. It's about really controlling the variables and optimizing that machine and sort of fine tuning it so you can be more efficient, even better at what you do day to day, business wise, family wise, etc. That's the whole point of this program.
yeah, yeah. And I think that was the appeal. One of the appeals to me was that this is not a diet plan. Like I'm not dieting.
Yeah.
I'm just eating, paying attention to what I put in my body, paying attention to what I'm doing with my body, and the results are, are what they are. Um, and but the overall appeal of this being not a 12-week program. We all see these promises everywhere. Get shredded in 12 weeks and then blow up like a balloon the next 12 weeks is what happens. Um, so it's a lifestyle. And it really, I don't know, for me, and maybe it was more difficult 4 months ago, but it doesn't feel like that significant of a change has happened for me. I'm just
Hmm.
paying closer attention to the things I should have been paying attention to all along. And uh, so yeah, that is a huge appeal.
Yeah.
It was for me, and I suspect it is for other folks that have done the program. I listened to one of your podcasts here recently. That was I think you guys pushed it out on the app with Miguel, the
Yes. Yeah.
dentist in Boston, and what an amazing story.
Incredible. Yeah.
So, but I felt the same sense listening to him was that this was a whole lifestyle
Yeah.
adjustment, change, fine tuning, call it what you want.
Hmm.
But it's not just a program to do for 12 weeks and then done.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely. It
yeah.
is. It is a complete life and lifestyle overhaul. Thank you for saying that, um, Chris. From a coaching perspective, what have you found the most beneficial? I suppose because the reason I ask this question is because a lot of people feel like, oh, I could potentially get a trainer down the road in my local gym and train with them and go through something like that, and I always try to go to big lengths explaining the differences. But for you, for somebody who's been in the program and actively still is in the program, what would you say have been like the biggest benefits from a coaching perspective, having somebody there to be able to, I suppose, bounce ideas, or what would it be? Accountability? Anything that comes to mind?
Uh, I just, I think, for me, we talked about the word why earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm that way. I try to be that way in work too, with our team of people. If people understand why we do something and why we do it a certain way, the light comes on, and they're like, "Oh, that makes sense. Now I know. Now I understand why this is so important." And so I think to have somebody who can not just show you how to do it. Now, I think for somebody who's not been in the gym a lot or done a lot of physical, working out,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I had a leg up or an advantage because I've kind of always been kind of a part of my life. So I didn't have to learn how to do certain things in a gym. So maybe that could. I'm sure there's huge benefit from you guys with your clients for that, for people who've not done that, or a personal trainer at the gym would be beneficial for somebody in that fashion. But once you
Yes.
learn your way around the gym and how to do certain exercises, um, for me, knowing that I'm putting stuff in this app
Yeah.
every day and knowing that somebody's watching on the other side of it is enough for me.
Yeah.
And then knowing that we're going to do a weekly check-in, and I get feedback, it's really good to have somebody I can just fire off a question to and say, "Hey, Chris, early on, I remember saying, "Man, I am having trouble getting to 180 grams of protein every day. Can you give me some suggestions?" And he said, "Well, we don't want to create your meal plan for you because then it's not really your meal plan, it's our meal
Mm.
plan." And again, then that starts to feel like a diet versus here's some ideas, here's some things for
Yeah,
you. And I just think that's brilliant it's genius because you kind of give the ideas to in this case to me and allow me to figure it out as I go. I wanted to have it all figured out, to be honest with you, on day one. I'm the type who I would have probably preferred just tell me what my 3 meals a day should be exactly, and that's what I'll do.
hmm
But it was much more healthy and long term beneficial for me to figure that out from some ideas and seeds that he planted. Does that make sense? I think it
absolutely.
made me more fully invested in that. And it's been cool because then, my wife and I will be like, hey, well, we talk about this kind of stuff now. And we didn't before. Like, what are we going to eat that's going to have the right amount of protein and not too many grams of fat? And I need more carbs. I'm like, am I really doing this? So that's been huge. That's been, and then I think, even though I'm a fairly high energy person and positive by nature, Chris is his for me. I said in a note to him this morning, I said, "Man, I am so grateful for your program and for the encouragement that you give me."
hmm
It at this point, it's like he reads my mind before I'm going to ask him something. He knows it. He
Yeah,
sent me a message on on Monday morning. I woke up and I had a message because you guys are what, like 6 or 7 hours in front of me, right?
correct. Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I wake up and I have a message from him that says, "Hey, looks like another great start to the week, checking all the boxes, doing all the right stuff." And he said, in the next 3 to 5 days, he knows what's in my brain.
Yeah.
He's like, in the next 3 to 5 days, you will likely see your weight drop down, take another step down, or however he put it. And I literally laughed out loud. I was like, well, he knew in my head. I was thinking probably 4, 5, 6 days ago, man, I've been crushing it. I've been getting after it in every part of this and
Yeah.
doing all the right stuff. And I haven't seen that next drop to the next level. And sure enough, like 2 days after he sent me that, I saw another significant drop, and now we're holding, building the new base there.
Yeah.
And so he's just so encouraged to have somebody who can walk alongside you and encourage you and answer your questions as you go and not make you feel like an idiot or an uninformed person because you don't know the answer to something you've never really paid a lot of attention to. Is For me, it's been hugely beneficial. I'm never the smartest guy in the room, but I can usually figure most things out because I'm
Mhm.
not like doing, brain surgery or rocket science. So, but to have somebody who can walk beside you
Yeah.
um, is, and just as available, knowing, for me, knowing at any moment I can grab my my phone or jump on the computer and send a message to him or to you, by the
Yeah.
way. I'm sure, I don't know how many clients you guys have, but I know it's a lot. And for you to be as available as you have been the times I've reached, that's just you can't put a price tag on that. And I've had a few friends who's, a lot of people who've said, "Wow, what are you doing?" Um, and I've explained it and shared it with people, and they're like, "Man, how much are you spending to do that?" And I'm pretty transparent, and I've shared, and I said, "But you know what? Think about all the money that you invest in education, in professional development, in your kids' college, if you're fortunate enough to be in a position to do that." That we spend on a vacation because we need to get some, we think we need rest and relaxation, which we do. So we invest money in all these other things. I'm like, why would I not invest money in my own well-being
Yeah.
and in having a coach alongside me who can help me live till I'm 80 so I can watch my granddaughter graduate from high school in
Yeah.
18 years? I mean, that's a no-brainer to me.
Mm.
Um, And maybe it would. I think you have somebody's got to be at the right moment to do it, though. I if somebody told me if somebody told me a year ago, you need to check this program out and you need to do it. Until somebody's ready to pull the trigger and has those moments. For me, I call them those moments that brought the need to the surface for me. Until somebody's ready, they're not ready. Nobody can
Absolutely.
tell somebody they ought to do it. I
Yes.
will be a huge encourager of anybody that needs encouragement because I know how it's helping me. So
Yeah.
I just rambled probably way too long about that whole
No.
coach
It,
question, but I think
absolutely.
for me, all those things are factors.
Yeah.
Now, would I a bit apprehensive about spending the money to do it? Certainly.
Hmm.
But I mean, I knew right. In fact, you guys, if I remember right, you guys said, well, if you want to do a 1 month and then see. And I remember you reaching out to me after 1 month, and I think my response was like, yeah, are you crazy? Of course I'm going to continue. In 1 month, it's been unbelievable. So yeah, it is very beneficial to have somebody. And, we do most of our exchanges via uh, the texting part of the app uh, versus a conversation.
Hmm.
I think probably just because we're busy people. I want to respect Chris's time. I don't want to schedule a call with him if I don't have something really significant to discuss when I can just shoot him a message and I know he's gonna. It's his intuition and ability to anticipate what I'm looking for and what I need to hear in advance of me even asking it has been really good. I mean, it just says the kind of people you have on your team
Thank you
are
very much.
high caliber folks.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything you've said and so much gold in there, Chris, because it seems like, and I know that, but to hear it from you, that the accountability really, that's the biggest factor for pretty much everybody. People think it's about training and nutrition. That part, I'm sure you could do on your own. If you really wanted to, the discipline, all of those things are there. It's the accountability factor, knowing that you, one, can ask those questions, that you can understand, gain the knowledge, the experience, and have somebody there that you can either ask the question or you have to respond to, check in with, etc. I think it's huge.
Yeah, yeah, it's been. Yeah, I'm not sure I would have had the success, or I don't even know that I want to use that word, but I don't know that the program would have had that impact for me without that coaching relationship and the accountability piece. And I will say, there's been a couple of times where and Chris maybe knows it, but maybe doesn't. There were a couple of different times where he challenged me on a few things, but he did it in such a way that it was looking back on it, I can see that it was a challenge
Yeah.
for me to take something to a different level or to do something a little bit differently. But in the moment, it didn't feel like it, and
Yeah.
that's a skill.
Yeah.
That because otherwise, human nature uh, is to immediately, become a bit defensive or as I always say, we human beings drift, and we never drift in the right direction.
Mm.
I mean, that's just the way, we're drifters. We all need some guardrails,
Yeah.
and most of us need more rather than less. And but sadly, that's a realization a lot of people don't come to.
Yeah. Well, but everything you've said, I absolutely agree with 100%. And very lastly, Chris, so how is everything with your granddaughter? How are you finding everything? How is all that going? Because that's clearly was the biggest part of you actually being here. So I'm forever grateful to Scarlett, right?
Yeah, Charlotte. Yeah.
Yeah, Charlotte. So I'm forever grateful to her for having you in the program because that was the biggest catalyst for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. We're so fortunate because they live close, 20,
Mm.
25 minutes away from us, so we get to see them all the time and or with regularity. I don't want to be that overly burdensome grandpa either. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, I never, well, before she was born, I remember thinking, man, being grandpa means I'm getting really old. And I think my wife said, well, you are, you're 60 years old now. I was like, uh, I don't know if I want to do this thing, but I don't have a choice. But no, it's been it's amazing. It's awesome. And hopefully, Lord willing, um, I'll be able to down the road say, hey, part of why I'm still here at your high school graduation is because of this moment we had back around my 62nd birthday 18 years ago. So,
Incredible.
uh, and then hopefully there'll be others that come along as well. So yeah, good stuff. I'm
Incredible.
certainly grateful for it. That's for sure. So
Thank you very much, Chris. Well, just last thing before I let you go, because I know you're busy and you have to get back to your things. What would you say to somebody who's sitting on the fence potentially and is thinking about joining this program, potentially listening to this and is maybe not sure? What would you say? Like a couple of words of advice maybe, or
yeah, that's a great question. I'm thinking back to myself.
Mm,
Um, well, I think one, don't. I mean, if you're having the thought, then that probably means you need to do it. I mean, it just is reality. Usually if I'm thinking about something like, I should do this or I should consider this, that's usually a clue that I probably just ought to do it.
mhm,
Um, so I would say, don't rush in necessarily, but also don't delay. I mean, you can't get, hey, today I have one day today and I'm in it right now. And if I don't make the most of this moment, this day, then that's on me. It's not on anybody else.
mhm,
And so take advantage of the day that you've been given. And if on this day you're thinking about it, whatever that time frame is, then do it, or at least reach out to. Hopefully, it's okay if I say this. Reach out to Martin or somebody on his team and say, "Hey, can we have a conversation? I need to learn. I'm really thinking of do what I did.
mm,
And I don't think I have no regrets uh, or I don't wish, and I have no thoughts like, oh, I wish I had done it a little differently. I felt like the path I took was I had to be ready.
yes,
And then I reached out to you, which was kind of my final step.
yeah,
I knew when I reached out to you, I was like, well, this is going to happen, I'm sure, but I still need to have this conversation just as one last confirmation. And then I don't know how often you guys do this, but I would always be willing to talk to somebody. You connected me with the gentleman on the East Coast probably a couple months ago,
yeah,
or one of your folks did that we talked, who was kind of on the fence about the program.
correct, yeah.
Um, and so I mean, I would be happy to anybody who wants to talk about the ups or the downs. There are no downs. I've not experienced any downside to it. Yeah, I've probably said enough.
You're very kind, Chris. Thank you so much. Thank you ever so much for everything you've said and for being such an incredible client of ours. Really doing a great job, getting great success. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this and onwards and upwards.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate everything you guys are doing for me and for the others who are a part of it. It's certainly life changing for folks, including me. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Chris.
Yep. We'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Take care.
If you enjoyed this episode and felt inspired and would like to find out more about my body transformation program, please visit my website at www.martinbugai.com or message me on Instagram at martinbugaifitness, and we can schedule a free strategy call where we can discuss your goals and find out more about how I can help you transform your body and your health.